Hey there, if you're like most homeowners, you've probably spent a few weekends wrestling with a gasoline mower that's louder than a motorcycle and smells like a fuel station, and you're wondering if there's a quieter, cleaner option that won't break the bank. The promise of a zero-turn riding mower that runs on a battery sounds great on paper, but the real question is whether it actually makes your yard work easier, reliable, and worth the investment. The truth is, a lot of folks jump on the electric hype without thinking about how many acres they actually need to cut, how often they'll be swapping batteries, and whether the mower can keep up with typical suburban landscaping tasks. If you're skeptical about buying another gadget that might sit in the garage half the time, you're not alone. There's a lot at stake when you decide between a traditional gas mower and a high-voltage electric model. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the Greenworks 60V 60 MaximusZ Zero Turn. At first glance it feels like a premium piece of equipment, a 60-inch deck, a 1.5 kilowatts fast charger, and a battery pack that advertises up to 4.4 acres of cutting power. Those numbers sound impressive, but what they really mean for you is how often you'll need to charge, how the mower handles hills or uneven terrain, and whether the ride comfort holds up when you're mowing for an hour or more. Who should consider this machine? If you have a medium-tonnage lawn, think 2 acre with a fairly open layout, the MaximusZ can be a solid match. The zero-turn steering is a real time saver around obstacles. You can pivot on a dime to trim around flower beds or garden paths without having to back up and re-enter. The 60V battery system gives you enough torque to handle thicker grass, especially after a rainy week, and the fast charger promises you won't be waiting half a day for a full charge. For families that already own other Greenworks tools, the battery platform is especially convenient because the same charger can service multiple devices, reducing the need for extra chargers in the garage. On the other side of the line, if your yard is smaller than 10,000 square feet, or you're mostly dealing with a flat, well-maintained lawn, you might be overpaying for capacity you'll never use. The mower's weight, thanks to a heavy-duty deck and robust frame, can make it feel a bit sluggish on steep slopes or if you have a lot of inclines. In that case, a lighter electric push mower or even a modest gas mower could be more nimble and less expensive. Now, let's zoom in on daily usability. The first thing you notice when you sit down is the comfort seat and ergonomic controls, which are designed for longer sessions. I've seen owners who keep the mower out for a few weeks at a time during summer, and the padded seat does help reduce fatigue compared with a hard plastic seat you find on many entry-level models. The deck is made from steel, and that metal feel translates into a solid, stable platform that stays level when you're cutting across a gentle hill. The blade speed is constant at 17,900 feet per minute, which means the cut stays even as the battery voltage drops, unlike some lower-end electric mowers that start to bog down as the charge runs low. Battery life is the real test. Greenworks supplies 2 20Ah batteries and 4 supplemental 8Ah packs, so you have the flexibility to run a single 20Ah pack for a quick touch-up or stack 2 for a full-day job. In real-world terms, a single 20Ah pack will get you roughly 45 to 60 minutes of mowing on a typical acre lawn, enough to finish without swapping. If you need to push beyond that, say, a acre property with denser grass, you'll want to have a second 20Ah on standby. The fast charger, rated at 1.5 kilowatts, can juice a 20Ah pack from 0 to full in about an hour, which is decent if you have a short window between mowing sessions. The trade-off is that the charger does need a 120V outlet, so you'll have to plan where you park the mower relative to a garage outlet or install an external power source. A subtle but important point is the mower's noise level. Because it's electric, you'll hear far less clatter compared with a gas engine, roughly a 70 dB hum versus the 8,590 dB roar you get from a standard gasoline model. This makes a big difference if you have kids napping on the porch or you're trying to keep the neighborhood peace on a Sunday morning. The reduced emissions also mean you won't have to worry about fuel spills or the lingering smell of gasoline in your backyard. What about maintenance? In a traditional gas mower, you have to change oil, replace spark plugs, and keep the air filter clean. The MaximusZ eliminates those routine chores because the motor is brushless and sealed. The only regular upkeep involves keeping the blades sharp and inspecting the battery contacts for corrosion. The